unpacking today's headlines. This is Souls and Liberty in Depth.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to In Depth, brought to you by Souls and Liberty in partnership with MyPillow.com. As Trump and J.D. Vance prepare to assume power, it's important to remember that the Lord Jesus Christ is also the Lord of history. He spared Donald Trump because he is also the author of life and death. Combine his rule over history with his authority over death, and quite the scene begins to unfold before us. A turning of sorts has begun in America, a turning, if not exactly directly back to God per se, certainly indirectly, by a movement starting to embrace natural law, at least on some levels. If there was an overriding theme as Trump prepares to be inaugurated, it is justice, one of the four cardinal virtues and absolutely essential to understanding natural law. All moral law is based on justice and its underpinning, but there cannot be justice until truth is embraced. The lies and the gaslighting and the propaganda and all that garbage of the Marxist left is now being exploded everywhere. They're still doing it, as we're going to get into later, but it's starting to get exposed the whole bit. The battle, as they say, is now fully engaged. Thank God, because we haven't been able to battle them before. We've not been handed victory here with Trump's win, but we've been handed by the Lord of history the chance at victory by his exercising his authority over life and death. See, surrounding Trump are some pretty stalwart Catholics now, yes, themselves flawed, as we all are, but this is not your grandparents' or aging bishops' church of social justice anymore. It is a Catholic community beginning to once again find its spiritual footing owing to the promise of its founder, Jesus Christ, that the gates of hell shall not prevail against her. And I will send you the Holy Spirit, and he will lead you to all truth. The last 60 or so years, pretty much my entire lifetime, have been a disaster for the church and consequently society. Without the necessary moral clarity from the hierarchy, which has been woefully lacking, the culture has descended into the gutter with an abandonment of natural law. Something is now, however, beginning to awaken, and it's beginning with the Catholics and so many others who are beginning to convert to Catholicism. This needs to be thought about, prayed about, of course, and observed most closely over the next 4 years at least. Everything that happens moving forward needs to be viewed through this lens, a Catholic lens announcing the natural law that came before the church and has been instituted by the Lord of history for the good of man. Okay, you may have noticed right here, representing for Notre Dame, you may have noticed the whole Notre Dame look going on. And while Notre Dame Nation is thrilled with the victory over Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, there are lots of tie-ins to things happening right now in the larger culture, just happen to all be focused right there on that Notre Dame Georgia game. There are loose ends that need to be brought together. But first, yep, I went to Notre Dame. There's my letters right there. Class of 83, wahoo, great game, the whole bit. So give me, please, humor me, 30 seconds of celebration.
Sugar Bowl remix, Sugar Bowl remix.
Let's go!
See Morgan Freeman, let's show him how the Irish fight. Notre Dame teammates, let's get it. This is the way we live. Notre Dame #1 on the field. We the fighting Irish, yeah, that's real. So beating these teams is no big deal, big deal, big. This is the way we live.
Here come the Irish!
So for now, the new aspect, there it is, my Notre Dame helmet. And if you ask me if I played for the Irish, well, you have to go look it up. So now the news aspect of all of this and, what happened. The game was in, New Orleans. We're going to talk a lot about that here. And there's a lot more to tie together into this than just, the two teams out there playing, Go Irish. For example, the Sugar Bowl, which is played in the Superdome in New Orleans, was delayed a day because of the Muslim ISIS terrorist attack on Bourbon Street that killed at least 15 U.S. citizens, God rest their souls, at around 3 a.m. ESPN, owned by ABC, which is owned by Marxist woke Disney, chose to air this short spiel from Tom Wilson. He's the president of Allstate Insurance, which sponsors the Sugar Bowl.
Welcome to the Allstate Sugar Bowl. Wednesday, tragedy struck the New Orleans community. Our prayers are with the victims and their families. We also need to be stronger together by overcoming an addiction to divisiveness and negativity. Join Allstate working in local communities all across America to amplify the positive, increase trust, and accept people's imperfections and differences. Together, we win.
Garbage. Notice what he said. We need to overcome an addiction to divisiveness and negativity and accept people's imperfections and differences. Really? You'd consider an ISIS member? I don't care if he was born in America or not. He was perverted somewhere along the way. I mean, look, Jesus had Judas, George Washington had Benedict Arnold. Just because somebody's homegrown doesn't mean they can't turn bad. But this idea that, we all kind of share some blame. That's the hint there. I mean, that's what he's saying. We all, it's our divisiveness. It's the same thing that happened with the towers and the whole bit. All of a sudden, it's like, well, the liberals one day, the next day after 9/11, were like, well, you can understand why they would want to destroy America because of how we've treated them for this and that and everything else. You don't kill thousands of people to make your point and then have people apologize for your evil actions. Same thing here. This isn't exactly an apology, but it's a flattening of the blame. Our own divisiveness, addiction to divisive. What are you talking about? He's chosen sides in that very thing right there. And boy, Allstate, Sugar Bowl, ESPN, they are getting roasted, as they should be, in social media. I mean, you go on X and it's like kind of the only thing anybody's talking about right now. There's a few things that are obviously going on, but boy, within like 24 hours of the Sugar Bowl, it's like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Why would ABC air that? And by the way, remember, they also aired this, fumbling, bumbling, dementia-ridden little thing from Biden, beforehand. I have to make sure that we're very important, that, this is not good for America. What did you say, Joe? Are you still president, Joe? Just for curiosity. So, this idea that Tom Wilson gets out there, first of all, not a good look for Allstate. That's your CEO. The guy looks like a munchkin, just like change his hair color. He could be in Wizard of Oz. Then you move on to, the horrible message. Who in the PR department at Allstate thought that would be a good thing to put out there? Again, remember these PR departments, these HR departments, these groups have been invaded in all the top 500 companies in America. They're all taken over by this crazy woke mind virus stuff that, anything bad that happens, somehow has to be Americans' fault. Or if somebody does something really horrible and really awful, well, that has, you kind of understand. Well, we kind of all share the blame in it. No, we don't all share the blame in it. This guy was radicalized and decided to go rent a truck, put explosives in the thing also. They find, IEDs all over the place in the back of the truck also. Find a break in the security system of Bourbon Street, which is a whole different matter. Like, how did he know where that was and all of that? But regardless, that's a separate story that needs to be very much investigated. We'll find that out as time goes by. But he finds the, and then he guns that truck into the middle of dozens and dozens of people, and kills at least 15 of them. And the body count's probably still going to go up. I mean, it's not like the people who are injured had like a minor scrape. He ran over them with a 2-ton truck. Somehow that this is blamed to be shared, according to the sponsor of the Sugar Bowl, that we all need to lay down our divisiveness. How exactly, the only divisiveness on Bourbon Street at 3 o'clock in the morning, a few hours before what was supposed to be scheduled kickoff, would be between Georgia Bulldog fans going, woo, 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 and Notre Dame fans yelling, here come the Irish. That would have been the divisiveness on Bourbon Street at 3 a.m. I've been there for that situation. There's no like, oh, let's burn stuff down and destroy the culture and run people over in trucks and all that stuff. The tone deafness of that particular, they had time to write that. That wasn't somebody just caught him on the street and stuck a microphone in his face. They sat around, the PR department was on, well, what should we say? And how do we respond to this? And we are the sponsor of the Sugar Bowl. I'm not saying they shouldn't have made a statement. Their statement should have been, Americans need to stand together now in the face of this kind of evil and understand that there are forces, even here within the borders of the country, that hate America and hate Americans and hate patriotism and simply want the country destroyed. That should have been the statement. In addition, obviously, prayers and masses, etc., offered for the people who were dead, who were killed by this guy. Not, we have to get over our addiction to divisiveness. What addiction? I'm not addicted to divisiveness. And frankly, neither of those 15 bodies ground up under the wheels of that ISIS terrorist truck, not to mention the people in hospitals. We're not addicted to divisiveness. These people want to kill us. They want to kill us. They're the ones who have drawn the line of division. The fact that we are on one side of that line by choice doesn't make us divisive. We've been forced into that position. But beyond little skinny munchkin Tom Wilson there's much more to this story. Not only did the Marxists air that crap, they also did not air this. Take a look at this. That flag, giant flag, God bless them, is larger than half the field, and it was being unfurled in solidarity with the city of New Orleans and those victims mowed down by that Islamic terrorist, ISIS guy. While that was happening, the Notre Dame band was playing America the Beautiful and then went into the national anthem. When they were done, unified chants, with that flag right there on the field, unified chants by both Notre Dame fans and Georgia fans rang through the Superdome, the Sugar Bowl. USA, USA, USA. What did ESPN, ABC, Disney do? They refused to show any of it to you. They cut away. They made a network decision to not show a unifying call of patriotism and America first, and let's all get together. You ever been to a major, giant college football game like that? Where there's the stands are split roughly 50-50, and it's intense. It's intense. And the back and forth with fans and cheering and, all the stuff that goes on with the game. I mean, you go to a bowl game, especially moving towards national championship. At that level, fans are not in agreement about much. So it was a moment there in the Sugar Bowl where the Georgia fans, all of a sudden the Bulldogs were not their number one concern. And the Notre Dame fans, suddenly the Irish were not their number one concern, but showing unity and solidarity with the victims and the United States of America. And they put down their allegiances to their schools and get rid of them, but they put them down and realized, here's a moment. This is a moment we have to come together and celebrate and make a statement. And ESPN, ABC, Disney said, screw that. We're not going to air it. I thought it was kind of odd. I mean, I've watched hundreds of Notre Dame games in my entire life, and even more, well, maybe not more, but a huge number of college football games in general. And you always see something of, whatever, the national anthem, the teams running out and all this. I thought to myself, what's going on right now? Where's all the coverage of, really? Are they not? And I thought to myself, and just thought, well, maybe it's not happening. Maybe they don't want to touch somebody's nerve or something. I don't know. I thought it was weird. I'm looking up at the screen. I was watching the game in a local watering hole where the Houston Alumni Club for Notre Dame gathers for game watches. And I was sitting there, I'm watching, I'm like, where's the pregame? Are they just going to ignore the fact that this happened, 20, 30 hours earlier? Really? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just too sensitive right now. Nerves are too raw. And I just passed over it. Didn't know it was actually going on, and ABC, ESPN, Disney didn't want me to see it, or you, or the other 13 million people watching that broadcast. But wait, there's more. When giant bowl games are being played, the networks always, because of the fan bases watching at home, the networks always show each team individually as the team runs out onto the field with all the cheers and the noise and the fight songs blaring by the bands and all of that stuff. Take a look here at what ESPN, ABC, Disney did not show you when Notre Dame took the field. It's head coach Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame's All-American starting center, Pat Coogan, who, by the way, sorry, Bulldogs, owned Georgia in the trenches once the game began and developed. Look at that. Could you imagine another picture of patriotism? Notre Dame has an unofficial motto, there's even a book written by the former Father Hesburgh, God, Country, Notre Dame. Notre Dame has always been associated, it's always associated itself with Americana and patriotism. It's etched on the entrance above, even above the entrance of the Basilica on campus. So the band plays America the Beautiful before every game. Crowd sings it, certainly at the home games, and then goes into the national anthem. And at this moment, a sight that practically brings tears to every patriot's eyes because of the canvas on which this event is happening. It's not just, carry an American flag out, yay, yay, yay. It's a statement. It's a statement that Notre Dame's football team was making, and they would not have just said, here's the flag. That went all the way up to the top and all the way back down, so they'd run it through their own little PR filters and all that stuff because, the whole corporation part of everything at Notre Dame. Everybody in America should have been allowed to see that, and Disney said, screw you, we're not going to let you see it. Notre Dame is college football. Sorry if that offends other schools, but that's just what the case is. It's the most storied program in the country going back over a century, and there could not be a more fitting scene than Notre Dame carrying that flag out following a terrorist attack a few blocks away, and Disney deliberately refused to let you see it. And for the record, they waited until about half the team, Notre Dame's team, had already come onto the field and Pat Coogan carrying the flag was well out of camera shot before they finally cut to a shot of the Irish. Anybody who watches college football knows that this whole team coming out and there's 5 cameras down there at the bottom and you see the head coach. They cut away from all of that. They broke their normal way of doing it so you could not see a display of patriotism. They cut away from the national anthem, America the Beautiful, the American flag out there on the field that we showed you earlier, because they do not want you to see a display of patriotism. Why? Because the left hates America. They hate everything about America. They hate patriotism. They hate Americans. They hate all of it. They can't stand it. And anything they will do. See, that's censorship. I mean, that's what that is. That's censorship. Why shouldn't I have been allowed to see that? You're going to you happen to have scheduled an interview with Kirby Smart, Georgia's coach, just as all that flag stuff was going on. They did. That's what we were looking at. And I saw when I was looking at the screen, in the bar, I'm like, what's going on there in the background? And are there chants of USA? Is that what you could barely hear it. So if you understand the way television production, network television production works, especially in an event like that, every last single thing, pregame, timeouts, halftime, postgame, all of it is massively scripted. It has to be. You don't just all of a sudden have the head coach of a team standing right there next to you ready to do an interview. That's all been directed. They script everything out. Absolutely everything gets scripted out. And they deliberately did an interview with Kirby Smart while that was going on so that you wouldn't see it. Kirby Smart, he has nothing to do with it. I mean, Kirby Smart's as loyal and patriotic American as anybody else. He didn't know what was going on. He was being used. He was being used by the whole Disney left woke mind conglomerate, the whole Borg there, to make sure that, it looked like they were doing something important. In the meantime, the biggest statement in the entire college football playoff, having nothing to do with the actual game, was going on right there. And because there was a display of patriotism, they didn't want you to see it. Now, like many of you, I've been in New Orleans and Bourbon Street, and yes, Pat O'Brien's, and we'll stop the story right there about Pat O'Brien's. I've been to probably 100 Notre Dame games. I'm hugely patriotic. That's what the American flag is back here for. I grew up in the U.S. military, so this one hits home very close for me. I am sick to death of these commie bastards and their hatred for all that is good, and it's all rooted ultimately in their hatred of God. They hate the West, which is now largely housed in America, because they hate the Catholic Church, which built the West, built Western civilization from the ashes of the empire that tried to destroy the church. And they hate the church because the devil is their father, and he hates Jesus Christ, who built the church, built his church. This is the focal point that needs to be considered every step of the way moving forward, and it certainly did not escape kind of the ironical point of view that there is Notre Dame, which is, of course, right here is French for Our Lady, Mary, the Mother of God, running out onto the field, a Catholic school, right out of the tradition of Western civilization, parading this American flag out to make a statement about how much those who love America and love God are united in this very moment, and those devil bastards would not let you see it. Screw them. Man, just disgusting. How much longer do we have to go until January 20th? Is it possible to arrest these people and throw them in prison for the next 6 lives that they would have? Anyway, sorry to lose my crap over this, but I'm sorry. Unforgivable. Unforgivable. If you have, streaming services or whatever that have all of these things, cancel them. Cancel them. These people, you go woke, you go broke. Sick to death of being controlled by these devil bastards who anything that brings you to the natural law, brings you to goodness, truth, beauty, they want to prevent you from seeing it. And here's a prime example of it right there. Disgusting. Anyway, this Thursday, Notre Dame plays Penn State. Go Irish. That's it for now. Thanks very much for tuning in to In Depth. I'm Gary Michael Vorse, coming to you from Houston. Yeehaw! Go Irish. God love you.